Well, I did not think that it was a proper sport for girls.
We put a lot of stress on sports for girls. We want them to be strong and to work together in a team so they can build up a stamina, character and fairness.
And you don't like Miss Carline?
She's American.
So is Mrs. Norton.
Yes, but Miss Norton has lived on the continent for many years. She's rather European than American.
Can I now speak with the girls, Miss Beckenham?
Of course.
You could have written her.
I'm not in the habit of writing social letters to married women about nothing important.
You were our best man at my marriage.
Unwillingly.
You set fire to my house.
Willingly. I have tricked you, then you tricked me. We are even.
Oh, how often have you said that to a woman before?
Never. Why did you not write when he died?
I was very confused, you see. I really loved him. He was always very good to me.
I see.
Holmes?
Yes.
Watson told me you still keep my photograph.
I like to have something that reminds me of my cases.
Even those you didn't finish successfully.
Especially those. They remind me of past mistakes.
Mistake.
Pray, let us concentrate on the case at hand. A life is at stake. Maybe more than one.
This is Dr. Watson. We would like to ask you a few questions.
On whose authority is he asking us questions?
Well, Mr. Holmes asked me to talk to you and Miss Riggs admitted it.
And who asked you and Mr. Holmes to come here and investigate in the first place?
Lady Anne came to us.
Lady Anne is a confused, stubborn and unwilling girl. She has many problems and she has added more to them. She knows little, understands less, and misunderstands a lot.
Come, she's a nice, well-bred girl who worries about
things that are of no concern to her. The school and the Duke of Holdernesse are in full control of the affair and will deal with it. There is no need for private snoopers around this place, sir.
I dare say you give your opinion very decidedly.
I must. I'm prefect of this house, responsible for discipline and order. I'm the oldest daughter of the Duke of Graf-Münster. And who are you?
Lady Susan! Manners! As I told you, this is Dr. Watson, the valued companion of the celebrated Sherlock Holmes, who is more legend than alive. And still, they don't have any real authority here. They're just meddling and stirring everything up.
He is just a scribbler. I have read about Holmes and him. They live together and he writes stories about their adventures.
Who knows whether they are true? I mean, what really great detective would come running when he's heard the fantastic stories of a confused little child?
Did you say they live together? Two men?
Well, they live in London. In London, all kinds of strange people get together. My father always says.
It is very amusing to listen to you, but could we now return to the rather dangerous situation Lady Margaret may be in, and Dr. Wagner? Can you tell me anything about their disappearance?
Well, on Monday evening, Lady Margaret went to bed, and in the morning she was gone. Later it was discovered that Dr. Wagner was gone too. That is all we know.
His bike was gone too.
This is true.
What kind of girl is Lady Margaret from your point of view? Adventurous? Disobedient?
Boring. Intelligence was there it. She showed some talent at lacrosse, but her father didn't want her to play it.
Indeed.
She was small and weak, but fast. And she followed the rules.
Then why did she climb out of her window?
Who said she did?
Lady Anne.
And you believe her?
She lies when she opens her mouth to talk.
This I cannot say. We know her better.
She would not lie to a teacher, of course. But she has a very lively fantasy, if you know what I mean.
What about you?
I do not understand.
Have you got any fantasy? Could you imagine what might have happened to a little girl who has been missing for 3 days?
Well, she won't be alone, will she?
It's quite obvious, isn't it?
Is it?
Oh man, I don't wonder if you're living with a man.
Do you imply a love affair?
But of course. She has run away with Wagner, probably to Gretna Green in Scotland. They will return married, and her father will kill him. A German teacher and the only child of the Duke of Holdernesse. Quite a scandal.
Then why is there only one bike missing? They couldn't get very far on one bike together.
Too simple for the big detective. Must make a big case of it.
your imagination, sir, to write stories. You must have some.
You will now excuse us. We have a dancing lesson to attend. Sir, miss.
Well, I say.
Dr. Wagner was not properly dressed when he left this room very quickly. Trousers and shirt, but no socks and no coat. She was on bare feet. Then he took his bike. There is only one bike missing.
Only one.
Was he a good biker?
Not bad. He had a lot of exercise.
There are not many roads around here. If you rode across the country, we might still find tracks.
The Duke's men followed all the tracks they could find. They assumed that Dr. Wagner and Lady Margaret ran away together, took the train in Crowborough and left from there to go wherever they wanted to. By now, they could have left the country.
I don't think so.
Why?
If they had run away together, he would have made a plan. He would have taken his luggage. At least, he would have dressed properly. No, something made him leave this room very fast and unexpected. The two cases are connected, but it's not love that connects them. What do you see when you look out of this window?
Fields, meadows, a path leading to Holdernesse Hall.
Lady Margaret's home. How far is it?
5 miles, but she didn't go there. The Duke would have told us.
Are you sure?
But...
And what is that wall on the left? About half a mile away?
that is Moran Manor, the ancestral home of Colonel Moran and his family. He has a high wall because he keeps all sorts of strange animals roaming freely on his grounds. A jungle monkey and a leopard, I think, but definitely several very big dogs. True monsters. One can hear them howl on full moon nights. Sometimes he allows gypsies to put up their camp on his fields. He is not very social, doesn't visit us and doesn't allow any visitors. He hates female schooling, he says.
Did you say Colonel Moran?
Holmes, have you heard?
Watson. Yes. Colonel Moran.
Holmes, this is worse than I expected.
Yes, this is getting even more dangerous than I expected. I am afraid we must inform His Grace the Duke at once.
Miss Riggs, you know to what length His Grace has gone to avoid any public scandal, so shortly before he is called into another high office. He prefers few people to be involved in this case.
But of course, if His Grace objects so much, this can be resolved very quickly, and Mr. Holmes can return to London by the earliest train tomorrow morning.
Excuse me if I interrupt you here, but this is hardly the case. The air out here is so refreshing and healthy that I intend to stay quite a while in the area and to spend my time usefully. Whether you give me shelter or the local public house does not matter to me, but it is, of course, up to you to decide.
Mr. Holmes, how can you?
I agree with Miss Wilder that it might have been wiser to put all the children under lock and key after one has disappeared. If you had done so, Miss Riggs, then the little lady would never have reached Mr. Holmes. You must tighten security and discipline at your college. But now that Mr. Holmes is here and involved, it would be most unwise not to use his services. He has a certain reputation, and even some of my dearest friends and colleagues have made of his services occasionally, as I know. He is discreet. At least, he can be discreet.
Of this I can assure you, Your Grace.
I would like to invite you to be my guest at Holdernesse Hall. It offers far more comfort than the school.
Thank you for your kindness, Your Grace, but I think it more helpful to stay at the scene of the crime for my investigations.
As you wish, Mr. Holmes. Of course, Miss Wilder will share all the information we have with you.
Thank you for your kindness and cooperation. I only wish everybody here was as cooperative. We might have recovered the missing girl already.
You cannot finally recover someone who does not want to be found.
This is where I have a different opinion. What have you done to find her?
We ask around the school, the local pub, the train station. We searched for tracks and hired a detective from Pinkerton's to make discreet inquiries.
And what did you find?
Bike tracks that were leading across the fields toward Moran Hall and Holdernesse Hall. They simply ended when they came to a Teil road. We assume that Dr. Wagner and Lady Margaret went away together. A man who was not fully dressed and a young girl were seen at the train station and were traced as far as Liverpool.
And then?
It wasn't Dr. Wagner, and the girl was a little old lady. It came out.
So you have wasted 3 full days. And all you have is a theory with no facts to base it on.
We were very busy.
Finding nothing. This is unbelievable! Irresponsible!
We had to be discreet. His Grace's return to a public office
Is nothing compared with the life of his daughter.
Mr. Holmes, you are of course right. My career is very important to me, but Margaret is my only child. She means everything to me.
Your Grace, may I ask you a few questions? They may be painful, but believe me, they are necessary.
Ask.
What can you tell me about your neighbor, young Moran?
I met him once at a hunting party. Shoots very well. Shot more grouse than me. Doesn't speak much. We have little contact.
An honorable gentleman, but a bit conservative with regard to women's rights. He was not very happy about the opening of the college next door. Sent a few angry letters to all the neighbors and the school.
Insulting man! He once stormed into my study and shouted threats at me!
Demolished fences and threw in some windows, and maybe is responsible for painting on the school walls. Little bit radical.
And he allows gypsies on his ground. They seem to be the only ones he likes. It frightens the girls. We informed the police.
Oh, how nice to learn that there are some things that can make you inform the official police force.
He is a dangerous man.
Do you think he has got anything to do with the disappearance of my girl?
It's too soon to say anything about this. The only thing I can say is that I have come across his name earlier, and it was very unpleasant.
The gypsies had...
But of course, they were staying at his place 3 days ago and left on Tuesday afternoon.
And you did not track them down?
Well, we followed this other track that led us to Liverpool.
Simpleton, you must always follow all the tracks!
I will call Pinkerton's at once.
Mr. Holmes, it seems you may have set us on a new track again.
An old one. And much too obvious. No, this will lead to nothing.
But you yourself said
It is
that...
no good to jump in conclusions. Even Watson thought of the possibility. Every sensible person would have thought of the gypsies, but none of you did. The real question is, why none of you thought of the gypsies? And the only answer is... Watson!
They didn't jump to that obvious conclusion because, tell me if I'm wrong, Holmes, because they knew that the gypsies were harmless.
Right! But too short. The only reason why they may have known that the gypsies are harmless is that you know what really happened with Lady Margaret. And that is also the reason why I did not inform the police.
Well, Mr. Holmes, I must say you have strange ideas.
Not at all. It is the truth, isn't it, Your Grace?
It is not true.
You hesitate! And for good reason, I presume. Your daughter was tricked out of the college, and you are being blackmailed. Now, tell me, did she receive a letter that Monday, Miss Riggs?
Why, yes. From the Duke.
And did you write anything that might have excited her?
Of course not. It was a harmless enough note telling her about my upcoming nomination as First Lord of the Admiralty.
And you posted it yourself?
Of course not. Miss Wilder, my secretary, took it over to the school for me. I do not post letters myself in person, Mr. Holmes. How perfectly ridiculous. I write between 30 and 40 letters a day, sir.
Then it becomes even clearer. Your daughter was abducted and you are being blackmailed now, and this is why you refuse to cooperate.
How perfectly ridiculous, to quote my husband. Is this all you are, Mr. Holmes? Inventing stories from non-existent facts?
Mr. Holmes, allow me to introduce you to my wife, Sylvia, Duchess of Holdernesse.
Your Grace, it is not the truth. Enough, not ridiculous.
But of course, my husband is a public personality. If he was being blackmailed, he would have called in Scotland Yard at once. He is a loyal subject of the crown and an upright gentleman. What are you, Mr. Holmes? The second son of a country squire, as far as